Hey, good morning, Metropolis. It's now 5 after the hour of 6 a.m. in the big monster city.
Come on! Let's get pumped!
I'm not drinking any fucking Merlot! What can I say? The camera loves me.
Shall we begin?
After you, Junior.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Logged It, episode number 42. We're here for an interesting topic, one I'm excited about. Movies you wish you saw in the theaters. This can be anything. This can be something that, you saw when it came out on Blu-ray and you were like, oh my God, this was amazing. Or it can be something that you discovered as a young lad then realized, man, how cool would this have been in the theater? It can be whatever you want. So we got a full panel. It's gonna be fun. Cody, you are here. You were excited about this topic when Boatman and I told you about it, and now we're here to talk about it. So how you doing, and are you pumped?
I prepped for movies that I wish I would have watched on 2 times speed, so this is going to be a little different. Also, on Letterboxd right now, you can find Kaleb Koho's ranking of all the James Bond films, which I wouldn't take as any grain of salt whatsoever because he watched them all on 2 times speed. So, if you see Daniel Craig, choose his ratings on that. Other than that, do not trust the man. I'm excited for this topic. There's a lot of movies that I was able to see as time went on that got re-released. Sure. But I can just imagine the first time watching it in theaters, like the first viewing, would have been crazy. So I have some interesting topics, I would say, but this should be a fun show, and I'm here to make Boatman cry. So,
Kaleb Boatman, welcome. How are you?
I'm okay. Cody... I think Cody needs a visit from Sarah McLachlan because he's been beating a dead horse a lot. But other than that, I'm having a good time.
Still can't make it drink.
I would beat that dead horse as well. Anyway, Payson, welcome back. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. Cody chose violence today, but I'm always up for 2 times speed jokes. Can't deny him, but yeah, I'm excited for this topic. It should be fun, and this is a great panel. I love talking movies with these guys.
Jake, you were another one that was like, I want to be on that topic.
Yes.
You're here. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing much better than I did last week. I had the flu, and it fucking sucked. But I feel so much better this week. Yeah,
that week post flu is always like, you can do anything. Like you have the stamina of 1,000 men. Absolutely. I've been there. Okay. So we are going to kick the show off. Before we get into our list, we're going to talk about what we start every show with, which is our favorite movie that we logged this week. Cody, why don't you kick us off on this
one? So I did my favorite double feature that I do. It's just about hope and optimism and no sadness whatsoever. It's The Shawshank Redemption and The Green Mile. I picked The Green Mile as the one that I pick because I think Shawshank gets obviously enough credit where like a lot of people. I mean, it was IMDb's. I think it's still. I don't know if it still is to this day, but it was for the longest time. It's number 1 movie where I first saw it. But The Green Mile is just fantastic.
It still is.
Yeah, I'm going to make a point here, and I stand by this, that this is the best Sam Rockwell performance of all time. I want to make that known after a rewatch. He has never been better than he's been in this movie. His physical acting, along with his the character he portrays, basically the duality of him being completely goofy and stupid to how scary he is. This cast is just loaded. Percy is one of the all-time villains in any movie ever. He does not get mentioned in the same breath as some of these people, but this dude literally doesn't wet the sponge in the movie and literally sets a man on fire and he's alive. It's one of the most horrific scenes in film history for me. As of rewatching it, I was like taken back of like how gruesome that scene really is. Michael Clark Duncan, again, we lost him, but he also lost the Oscar, which he shouldn't have. He definitely deserved the Oscar for this year. Harry Dean Stanton is also one of my. So shut your mouth, you dirty slut. He passed away. God, have some respect over there, you Iowa man. But Harry Dean Stanton, as he's doing the fill-in stuff, hilarious stuff, like what he's able to do. Tom Hanks, of course. Yeah, I just absolutely love the Green Mile. I think I understand the length at some people, but I think when I was watching it, I couldn't cut anything. I don't know if there's a part I really cut, a part I take out, a part that bores me, or a part that I don't enjoy. And I love like this kind of supernatural effect to him, like after he makes him ride the lightning and what his life what he has to pay the punishment for. I think it's a really interesting take. So if you haven't seen the Green Mile, it's an all-time thing, and I don't think it gets enough. I don't think it gets enough credit up against Shawshank, which I think it's equal, or it's equal in my eyes.
I'm sitting here. We're doing a show. Maggie is building a weight rack, and so there's a bunch of clinky clank, and then all of a sudden she just goes.
Go, Maggie!
All of a sudden, very quietly, she goes, "Oh yeah." And let's go. I've only seen this once, but I really liked it when I saw it. Because I've only seen it once, and I have seen Shawshank quite a few times, I still rank Shawshank higher, but I am going to be giving this a rewatch. I just bought the 4K of it that came out, so I will be giving it a watch. If you had waited, Cody, maybe 2 more weeks, you could have watched it in 4K on the Vudu. But
what I will say is, I think Shawshank gets a little bit, because it's more of an uplifting story, like more positive. Green Mile's a downer. Like at the end of the day, it's a sad, depressing movie. Like it's not one of those no leaving to the beach with your best friend. So.
Yeah. No, but I really liked it when I saw it. I don't remember, like I remember Sam Rockwell in the movie and me being like, oh, that's Sam Rockwell. I couldn't say whether it's his best performance or not, just because I've only seen the movie once, and it was years ago.
I think it's his first time when he plays a racist, which he basically carries on to the rest of his career. So it's pretty. He has starting blocks, so it's really good.
Oh my God, Boatman, your take on the Green Mile?
I'm having a bad time. I really want to just trash the Green Mile right now, but I can't even do that because it is really good. Like, I want to just because Cody's being a doofus right now, but no, like, Green Mile's great. It's fantastic. It's hard to watch, but there's a scene in this, not even like the big scene. There's a scene that just waterworks when I watch it, and it's not even the one you're thinking of.
Jake,
when he's watching the movies, that one, yeah.
I unfortunately have not seen the Green Mile yet. Shame on me.
But how many Spider-Mans?
Oh, all of them. Many, many, many times.
Jason.
Yeah, I saw this one back in high school. I think I owe this one a rewatch, but I do really, really like this movie. It's one of the first movies I remember, like, actively making me cry, like specifically at the end, like, damn, does that rip your heart out? I think Michael Clark Duncan is fantastic. I think Sam Rockwell is really good. I wouldn't quite say he's my favorite. It's my favorite Rockwell performance, but I do think it is a very, very good Rockwell performance. And yeah, I'd
rewatch it.
I would put this on the top echelon of my Stephen King films.
Okay.
Adaptations, yeah.
Okay. Boatman, why don't you go next?
Yeah, I haven't watched a whole lot of like great movies this week, but I did catch up on some new releases this week, and there's the big one that was really good, but I'll let somebody else talk about that if they want to, because I actually really dug, surprisingly so, The Bad Guys. I actually maybe not surprisingly, because we're talking about another Sam Rockwell movie, right? But beyond just Sam Rockwell is in it. Sam Rockwell's not really the main reason I like this movie. I think these characters are fun, and the heist environment is like really fun. Animated heist movies rule. And there's a lot of like callbacks and references to the Ocean's movies here, and those are all super fun. I like the titular bad guys. I just think they're fun. The one weak the element I would say are the villains. The villain is bad. But the main bad guy's a lot of fun. The heist sequences are great. It's harken back to like classic 2000s era DreamWorks, and I enjoyed it.
Jake, did you see this?
I did not, because I'm not a child, nor do I have young little brothers. So sorry.
Wow, we're just like bashing Boatman today.
I'm not trying to. I'm just like, my reason for not watching the movie is that I just had no interest.
Payson, you saw this.
I did.
No, we watch Kangaroo Jack on the daily.
Absolutely.
You don't get to call anyone a child.
That's it.
All right, Payson, go ahead.
Yeah, I enjoyed this movie. On the one hand, like, have you seen some of this stuff before? Yes, but on the other hand, it's a lot of fun. I think the team works really, really well together. Shark is my personal favorite one. He's just a big softie that like can somehow fool anyone, and I love it. Piranha is me. He is just an absolute just pack of energy that is just waiting to be sicked on people.
And he's wet.
What?
And he's wet.
Yeah, and he's wet like my hair. Like Boatman said, you can clearly tell who the villain is 2 seconds after they show up, and that can be a little annoying, but I think it does have enough humor and enough jokes, and it's really like fast-paced jokes, and I really, really like when DreamWorks does that. So yeah, I definitely enjoyed this movie.
I liked it too. This was a big surprise. I liked the marketing. I thought the trailers were funny. So I got excited when it was coming out, and I went and saw it, and I had a good time. I don't think it's revolutionary by any stretch of the imagination. I think I agree with everything Boatman and Payson said, but it was fun. The animation style was cool for a DreamWorks movie. It was different. I liked that. I liked the core team, the characters. I thought were all interesting and fun. And I agree with Boatman. The like oceans spin heist stuff was really, really fun. It gets a little DreamWorksy in the finale. The finale is a little like, honestly, this could have been like a top tier animated film, not just DreamWorks, but the ending is like really stupid, like really dumb. And it was like, okay, this is a little much. But overall, I really liked the movie. I looked. I have it ranked number 9 in DreamWorks. I don't know if that's a thing on the movie or if that's a thing on DreamWorks as a whole. Doesn't have a ton of great stuff, but
it'd be like 12 for me, so that's about the range.
Yeah, that's fair. And you like DreamWorks a lot more than I do, so that like I think it was a good movie. I think it's worth watching. I think, you know, especially if you have a family and young kids, this won't make you want to completely jump off a building. So, Cody, have you had a chance to watch this with the family yet?
I haven't. My kids have watched it. My kids have watched it like 4 times in the past like week. I haven't caught one of the viewings yet of it, so
got to get a Prime ticket for that.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, yeah, you put it at 9. Boatman would have it at 12. Koho would probably have it at 3.
He hasn't seen it yet.
I know, but if he does, look at his ratings; they make no sense. But anyways, he has How to Train Your Dragon like 22. Like, what are we doing?
That's the thing.
Yeah. But yeah, it looks really interesting. I like Rockwell, and he's not playing a racist in this, so I'm kind of interested to see what he does.
All right. So I will go next, and I'll take the obvious one. I'll take the one Boatman was alluding to. Top Gun Maverick, man. I skipped this show last week to take my grandpa to see this movie. I'm not gonna lie. Like, there was an early screening Tuesday night, and I called my grandpa about a month ago. I said, okay, the context. The first Top Gun is his favorite movie of all time. So we've been waiting for this, and because he knows I work at the theater. Tim, when's Top Gun coming? Like, when are we gonna see Top Gun? Nah, it's all I've heard for like 5 years. And then it kept getting pushed and pushed and pushed. And now it's finally here. I call him up. I'm like, Grandpa, we could go Tuesday night at 7, or we could wait until Thursday and go at 7. Like, what do you want to do? And he's like, well, we got to go to the early one. We got to go. We got to do it. He rolls up in his leather jacket. We go into the theater. They were giving out little like pins and posters. This man, I tell you, was on cloud 9. He thought he was at like the most exclusive movie premiere in Wisconsin. It was incredible. He had such a fun time, and that honestly enhanced the movie for me because the first Top Gun is meh. I don't think it's a terrible movie, but it's not great. But he loves it so much to the point where when the movie opens and it has the same like thing about Top Gun like on the screen, like the dialogue or the text comes up on screen, he literally grabbed me and he goes, "That's like the first one." Like he's seriously like so pumped. And every time like a jet was going, he's grabbing me like, "Oh my God." Like he was just having the time of his life. And it enhanced it so much for me. By the end of the movie, like we were like laughing and hugging, and it was a beautiful, beautiful night. The movie ended, and it's funny, Maggie went with her mom to the same showtime, but they sat away from us because he wanted it to be a guy's night. But the movie ended, and we were all talking in the lobby, and he looks at my mother-in-law and goes, "I didn't think they could do it, but they did it." And I was like, and that's just like I think that's the thing at the end of the day, like the first movie, you either love it or you hate it, or maybe you think it's a meh, whatever. But I think it's kind of undeniable. This movie's pretty fucking awesome. Like there's an actual story and like characters to cling on to. Like the action is incredible. Like all of the visuals are so well done. And the third act really surprised me. Because I actually cared with what was happening. I also thought Miles Teller was really good in this. Like I've always liked Miles Teller ever since Whiplash, and Spectacular now, I guess. But he's really good in this. And then Boatman helped me out, tall, blonde, and handsome.
Glenn Powell.
Glenn Powell.
Really good in this as well. I thought he was excellent. I want to see him in way more stuff because when he pops up, he's always pretty serviceable and good, but this I thought he was really excellent. And also, Cody, have you seen it yet? Ed Harris, one scene and he's a dick. So he's Ed Harris. It's wonderful. John Hamm is great in this. It's honestly like the whole summer movie package. It really is. And also Jennifer Connelly is stunning. Like, my God, she's gorgeous. The movie's fantastic. And you walk out of a movie to a sequel to a film that the Macaw says is, quote, hot garbage. You come out of the sequel and she goes, "It's my favorite movie of the year." Like, you got something good on your... You basically did. You said you had it ranked with No Time to Die, which was one that you were super surprised by. Anyway, great fucking movie. Cody, you already said you haven't seen it, but are you going to see it?
So I consider the first Top Gun arguably one of the weakest 80s movies. Like, I once argued it in a debate, which also hurt it because it was the first time I ever watched it, but it was somebody considered it the top 80s action movie of all time, which there is no action. There's just a sexy volleyball scene and Danger Zone played 45 times. But I've heard only great things about this movie. So everybody's there are some people that on Letterboxd that I don't trust at all. So when their reviews came out, I'm like, okay, whatever, cool. But then when the other people that I respected started putting high ratings on, I was like, okay, well, maybe we might have something on here. So,
Brian Michaels giving this 5 stars. Like, you can't trust it. The man gave the first one a 4.5. Like, you can't trust that shit.
But no, not one person told me like the sky is like a character in this, so that trusted a little bit more. So I was ready to go in with a clean slate. So I'm excited. I haven't seen it yet, but I was going to wait for it to come to like on demand. I will actually go to the theater because I think the action will hold up. So. Plus, if I see Miles Teller shirtless one more time dancing around with his pedo stash on like all these videos, like I get it, but I'm a little uncomfortable.
The man is ripped.
He is, but I'm a little. For me, I'm a little uncomfortable.
Boatman, what did you think of it?
I really liked it. The thing I really want to shout out, especially when compared to the first Top Gun, is that the mission makes sense and is well defined and has clear parameters. Like, I don't know what is happening in the third act of the first Top Gun movie. Things just kind of happen. Whereas, like, that's what I love. I love action movies that clearly define the stakes, you know, what each character has to do, and then shows you what happens there, right? Like, a lot of action movies just kind of, it's pew, pew, pew explosions, and they just kind of say, oh, we're winning, oh, we're losing, oh, we're doing the right thing, oh, we need to do this. Whereas this movie, like, clearly sets up what needs to happen, and I love that. I'll let Payson bring up the best character in this movie, but Payson and I both have a character that we love. I will say the whole cast is great. I love the new recruits. They're a lot of fun. They kind of make Miles Teller and Glenn Powell into kind of like the new Maverick and Iceman, and I think that dynamic works perfectly.
Oh, also, did anyone know that Val Kilmer was going to be in this?
I think I knew he was going to be in it.
He's when they put his name up like at the beginning of the movie, I was like, huh? But okay, Payson, you saw it. Tell us about why you like the movie and why you like Bob.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's a certain type of person, me and Boatman, that are going to identify with the nerdy sidekick that everyone kind of makes fun of, and justice for Bob. Bob is a badass. I love you, Bob. You're the best.
Bob is the best.
Yes. But no, I did. I really, really enjoyed this movie. Seeing this in IMAX was incredible. Like, hearing the planes, like, whoosh around, like, floored. Like, legit. Like, I know it sounds like a stereo. Like, oh, it's just a cliche to say it. But no, like, seeing this in the theater was incredible. Like Tim said, I think the way they handled Iceman returning and everything with Val Kilmer was super respectful. Like, that could have come off wrong, but I think the filmmakers handled it in the perfect way. Shout out to the directors and the writers of this movie for being responsible by making the enemy an unnamed country. Like, just unnamed evil country. Like, it would have been better than just picking a random country and being like, you're the bad guys, like, especially in today's climate. But no, like, seeing Tom Cruise, like, the character of Maverick go into, like, this, like, mentor role. And I love how they just sort of say, like, dude, you could have been, like, an admiral, but you're kind of a dick, and you're kind of an idiot that, like, you're never going to, like, go past this point. And I love how it's finally, like, him sort of, like, identifying that. But yeah, I think this was way better than the original. There's a scene where Tom Cruise, who is in his mid-50s, is sneaking out after having sex from the person's window.
That scene is amazing.
Dude, you're in your mid-50s. What are you doing? And it was incredible. But yeah, I really enjoyed this movie.
Does Iceman bite at anybody at any point when he, like, does that thing in the first one? Does he do that in this one?
No.
Then I'm out. I don't have any interest in seeing this whatsoever now.
Jake, have you seen it yet?
No, I'm with Cody. I'm going to see it. Last week was not the greatest week for me. But I rewatched the first Top Gun last night, which I think is fine. There's some good stuff. That stuff doesn't work as well. But I will watch Maverick eventually sometime this week, hopefully.
Cool. All right. Jake, why don't we stick with you for your favorite movie along this week?
So yeah, I haven't really watched a lot of movies. I only watched 6 movies for this week. So I'm trying to think of what's the one I kind of want to go with. Honestly, I rewatched Spider-Man 2 for a podcast, but I don't want to. I talked about Spider-Man to death. I talked about Spider-Man 2 the last time I was on. Sure. I'm going to talk about another one of my favorite movies, a film by Jason Reitman. It's just a really great drama called Up in the Air. I don't even know how it started for me, but I just remember watching it on TV like 2010, 2011, like when it was out, and just kind of really being invested and interested by this character. Ryan Bingham, George Clooney's, he is just so fantastic in this role. I really love this character. It's one of my favorite characters ever. I really just love his philosophy in life. It's just to have as little human personal connections as possible. The only connection he has with someone is Vera Farmiga, who is pretty much like very similar to him in as far as philosophy, and they only meet up just so they can fuck. But there's this whole thing with him firing people, and then I think we all know the movie at least. But he takes Anna Kendrick on and kind of goes around the US and kind of shows how to fire people and how things are sort of changing for him. And there's a great sequence where him and Danny McBride are talking, and he's starting to have cold feet. And just basically says everybody needs a co-pilot. Like, we all, life sucks. Like, we're gonna get old, we're gonna get fat, we're gonna have kids, and then we're gonna become like dead. We're gonna be like, what is the point in all of this? And it's like, well, sometimes the point is just to be with to do it with someone else. And I just kind of like how, as cold and nihilistic as I could be sometimes when it comes to life, it makes me feel like, there's actually a point to what we do living, and I really appreciate that in Up in the Air. And I also just think the film is really funny. They crash like a conference sort of party thing, and then they sneak onto a yacht, and it's just really fun stuff and really great ideas. And I just think the character sort of dynamics between the three central characters, and also just Brian being who he is and his philosophy, is really fascinating. And one of my favorite just comedy dramas for sure.
Payson.
I have not seen it. I have heard nothing but great things about it from people in this community, so it does make me very, very excited to see it, because when I hear great things about it from people in this community, it excites me. And yeah.
I've seen it, but it was when it came out, and I haven't seen it since, so I need to give it a rewatch. I rewatched over half of Reitman's movies last year, and I never rounded it out. I finished what I had never seen before, but I need to go and finish the rest of them, the ones that I had even seen, including this one. So, Cody.
The reason why I inserted a handgun in my mouth and pulled the trigger is because Kaleb Koho is one of these people that decided to put both performances on his list from this movie. I don't get it fully. Do I think the movie's fine? Sure, absolutely. I think I'm more of a Clooney fan than I realized, but I don't think anybody's heavy lifting, doing great performances here or any great work. I think the script is what's really good in this. They read the line, they say the lines. But I pretty much could pick any actor and actress combo, and I think they could do this performance. I really do. And that's what I stand by. So I've heard it raved, and the reason why he's the I was going to say something bad. Okay. He has a really bad habit of pumping things up and making them this grand thing. And then when I get to them, I have to knock them down like 6 pegs. So
stop listening to Kaleb Koho.
Listen, I do a show with him every week. We talk, and I'm going to find something out, so we're turning into this week's YLS because he has he is the person in his top 15, which is laughable. Absolutely laughable, and I can't wait till we get to that moment. So, yeah.
And I have cheered second.
But yeah, Up in the Air. Fire people over the phone, over the computer, not in person. Sad.
Kaleb, your take.
I do really like the movie as a whole. There is a scene in this movie, though, involving J.K. Simmons that is an incredible moment. I come back to that scene all the time because I think this is what I've realized. One of my favorite tropes in movies is I love movies about people who are good at their jobs. When a person in a movie is just good at what they do, I love it. And scenes that show them be really good at what they do, those are always awesome. And George Clooney is weirdly kind of the master of that. He almost always is just really good at his job in whatever movie he's in. Michael Clayton, when he shows up, at the one guy, Michael Clayton, that's awesome. And in this, his speech to J.K. Simmons is oh man, I wish that guy would fire me. He's great in this.
All right. Payson, we are on to you, I believe.
Yeah, so I have been going through this director who had a very limited run. Her name is Elaine May. She did 3 movies that are super well acclaimed and 1 movie that most people don't like to talk about, but it has its fan base. I watched Mikey and Nikki this week. It's a crime film from the 70s. Really, really enjoyed this movie. Essentially what it's about this guy. His name is Nicky. He stole some money from these gangsters, and he calls his friend named Mikey, and he's like, hey, I need your help. And it's just them sort of like hanging out for a night and like trying to get out of this stuff. I love the dynamic. Peter Falk and John Cassavetes play the 2 lead characters, and I think they are great. Peter Falk is so funny as Mikey is just this guy that's just sort of like done with Nicky's shit, but like doesn't want to push him away because at the end of the day they are friends, and he does see him for and I guess he just sort of sees like the slight good things, and Nicky just keeps on being like, no, come on, man, I'm trying to get out, but he just keeps on making these like horrible mistakes. One of my favorite scenes is when they visit the grave of one of their family members, and you really get like the explanations of their characters. One of the funniest scenes in this movie is Nicky goes to visit one of his old flames and just starts banging her while Mikey is literally in the room watching them, and he says, just act like no one's here, just act like no one's here. And it's just the perfect dynamic of their character. Ned Beatty's really good in this. He had a great 1976 with both this network and All the President's Men. But yeah, I just love the like source of friendship in this movie. It's kind of unorthodox, but it works really, really well. And I think Elaine May was really good at doing that. I think this is my second favorite of those 3 films. But yeah, I really, really like this movie. And I think more people should try to watch it.
I have not seen it, but it sounds interesting. Cody.
So on my watch list, I have not seen yet.
Boatman.
This one's really good. This is probably my personal least favorite of Elaine May's 3 films, probably because I like her comedic stuff more. And this one is probably the least comedic, but it's still really good. There is a scene in this that involves Mikey going to this diner to get stuff for Nicky, and it's perfect. It's perfect. I do like this one. I would recommend checking out Elaine May's 2 other 70s films. Heartbreak Kid is my personal favorite. On a New Leaf is also fantastic. That one rocks, and she's great in it. Jake, I know you've seen this.
Yes. I was gonna say I think I watched this for the same reason that both Bo and Payson watched Mikey and Nicky, because podcast that some of us really love.
See, it wasn't even for the podcast.
I think it's a Criterion release or something like that. But anyway, yeah, I've seen Mikey and Nicky. I'm with Bo. It's not my favorite of Elaine May's movies. I love A New Leaf. I think that movie is so funny, and people need to watch that movie because it's like absolutely hilarious. Absolutely funny. Walter Matthau and Elaine May are both like comedically like fantastic performances. But Mikey and Nicky is just. It is what Payson has described it as. Like it's them having conversations and going and just walking around, and there's some things happen as far as like stakes wise, especially the ending. But yeah, I just couldn't really connect to it. I don't know if it was just like I was in a certain mood or I just wasn't feeling it for this one. But I think what's more interesting about this movie is just Elaine May behind the scenes. Like she would just film like so much footage, and she would just let the camera rolling while they just walk out of the shot, and someone would be like, "They're out of the shot, cold cut," and she would be like, "Well, they might come back into the shot." There's just so many interesting stories behind the scenes that I think is more interesting than the movie itself. I will admit that it's just not my type of movie. Maybe if I rewatched it, I would be kind of more into it, but I think the movie's fine.
Okay. All right, we're gonna move on to our least favorite movie that we logged this week. Cody, why don't you kick us off?
So I could choose one, but everybody knows kind of how I feel about anything Lego related. That second part garbage. Don't even. It made the first one
with a couple people about this.
It made the first one look like an Academy Award-winning film. But I went with one that I was misled on. So 2 movies came out, I think in '97, same time. They're both about volcanoes, but I always presumed that Dante's Peak was the better version, and I don't know if that's true yet. I haven't watched the other one yet again. But Dante's Peak is garbage. I'm just going to be real honest with you. I've always been under the impression is in a disaster movie, I don't care how the actors act. I don't care how the script is or the character development. How does the disaster perform? Like, do we get to see it wreck shop? Not really. This is just basically boring-ass people and a volcano happens during this movie. That's it. This could have been any, like two people in my town just going for a stroll. Tornado. Don't believe any of these people are that know anything about a volcano because clearly they went on the right day at the right time at the wrong for it to explode. But, like, everybody is like a giant block of wood, and you can just see it, like, in their face. Like, it's just, no one cares. No one is having any fun whatsoever. The visuals are really bad, and, like, it was just so boring. It was absolutely one of the most boring films. Pierce Brosnan, who else is, what's her name?
Linda Hamilton.
Linda Hamilton, yeah. And there's a scene that's really funny. I don't care if we're in this. There's a scene where the volcano's like they know it's going to erupt, and the guy goes, "Just to let you know, I was wrong. You were right. This entire time you were right." Well, okay, awesome. He's going to die now. Like, there's no point to it whatsoever. But it's like this terrible emotion. It's like me saying when I apologize to Boatman. I kind of mean it, but you can't really tell. You know, like that. Like, that's how that guy's performance was. So, yeah, Dante's Peak. I hope Volcano is better. I really do. I haven't seen it in a while, but yeah. That's my movie.
Boatman.
Don't quote me on this, Cody, but from what I understand, if Dante's Peak and Volcano are the equivalents to Deep Impact and Armageddon, Dante's Peak is the Deep Impact, Volcano is the Armageddon. In that Volcano is the more silly one, Dante's Peak plays it straight. I don't know where that goes in terms of quality.
Did Deep Impact get a Criterion collection?
No, that's right.
No, but Armageddon did, so Volcano clearly has to be the better one. That's
I
what
walked right into that. I'm sorry.
Let's go! Well, Armageddon would be on the best of this week if we were talking about it, okay?
No, it wouldn't, but fair.
Yeah, we would.
Bowman, do you have anything to say about the film?
Yeah. I have seen this. I was going to say, I haven't seen it. Yes, I have. I've seen Dante.
That says a lot.
That honestly should sum up everything you need to know about Dante's Peak. It's bland and it's boring and it's forgettable.
Jake.
I have not seen it. I've seen Volcano, and I can't say quality-wise to Dante's Peak, but Volcano is pretty good.
Hey, Payson?
I've weirdly heard the same thing that Cody has, that, like, yeah, Dante's Peak is the better one, and hearing his opinions scares me a little, but no, I have not seen this movie.
Okay. So, Boatman, why don't we go to you for your pick? Oh, I haven't seen it. Sorry. I skipped myself.
I didn't watch anything terrible this week, but I've been kind of on a DreamWorks run, and I watched Abominable, and that one's I don't hate it or anything, but I think that the environments and the Yeti are a lot of fun, and that's, like, entertaining. I think the human characters are all kind of annoying, and, like, not to an insane degree, but just to the point where it's like, I don't really care about any of this. So it's not the worst thing ever, but I don't like it.
Yeah, it's fine. It's not amazing. It's not terrible. I agree. The human characters are all pretty annoying, except for the main character I like. But all of the side characters are pretty obnoxious, including all the villains. The villain is very annoying. Yeah, and the I forget what they call the snowman.
Everest.
Everest, yes, thank you. He's cute.
2 points.
Yeah.
I'm not playing anymore. He's cute.
No, I'm just giving Boatman points. 2 points.
Oh. Yeah, I know he's cute. He's got some fun stuff to do, but nah. Yeah. I remember seeing this and being really excited and was kind of let down. So, Cody?
Oh, no. I saw this come out, and no. I don't know if my kids know it exists, to be honest with you, and I don't think it's bad. Don't get me wrong. Like, we watched the second part, Lego, and I wish we would watch Abominable, but overall, yeah, no thanks. I'll pass.
Jake, have
don't
you
have
seen
kids. I'll say that.
I have not seen this, unfortunately.
And Payson?
I remember I saw this once. I saw it in theaters. I don't remember much from it. All that I remember is that there's a Yeti, and that's about it. I will say, of the two Yeti movies, I do think Smallfoot is better. The first half, you'll be like, Payson, why do you like this movie? And the second half, you'll be like, oh, that's why. It gets weird. Smallfoot does.
Yeah, it does. I've seen both. Okay. We'll move on then to my pick. I watched a film this week. I don't know if I could call it a film. I don't know if there's ever been a more like a movie that I've just like felt gross watching. But I felt really gross throughout the entirety of 1981's Heavy Metal. This is bad. I watched this because, as I explained a few weeks ago with I, Frankenstein, my brother-in-law, Robert Parker, buys movie or asks me to buy movies for him on my Vudu so he can watch them, and then he pays me back. This was one of them that, Fandom doesn't have this. But something else has it. So he needed to watch it, and then I watched it, and it's not good. It's like a 12-year-old boy's sex fantasy that he drew out on screen. All it is just it's a cartoon, and it's just like Masters of the Universe mixed with porn. Like, I'm sorry, but that's what it is. There's just tits on screen for like half of the movie. And
how would you write a question based on it?
I don't need to in 1981 style 2D animation see a bunch of characters fucking and then fighting with swords. Like, it's so the way it's done is just gross. Apparently there's a sequel that I also have on Vudu because of Robert. So I'm not excited to watch.
What's that called?
Heavy Metal 2000.
Did it come out in 2000?
So better graphics, but more sex, probably.
Yeah, maybe. But Cameron, I believe this is I believe it's based off a comic book. Maybe I don't know. I don't know why the fuck this isn't Geek. It shouldn't be. If you're, I've apologized to people that play in that league a lot, but man, like, I'm really sorry for you now. This is a rough one. Well, Ivan Reitman, yeah, the cast is like, it actually has, it's like John Candy's in it. There's like some weird I think Ivan Reitman might be one of the voices. He might do a voice in it too. I don't fucking know, man. It was bad. And it's funny because like I've heard of this movie and I've like seen the poster. It just got a 4K Blu-ray. Like, it's clearly got some sort of following that enough people will rebuy it a bunch of times. And I remember seeing the poster a bunch of times, and I was like at work and I was closing for the night, and I was like, oh, I'm just gonna turn on something to watch while I close or whatever, and then all of a sudden there's just like tits, and I'm like, and I like have to like turn off my phone because I just thought it was like an animated action movie. But no, the fuck, get it together, geek. Cody, has anyone here seen this?
No, but I will say, like, I don't even know why people would watch it for the Schmodown. They don't just ask, like, John Candy stars in what porn movie.
Well, if you're from a certain place, they'll probably actually ask a deep cut question about like the background of this movie.
Anyways, I have no clue why you'd watch that, but I'm proud of you.
Boatman.
No.
Payson, Jake.
I
Move on.
know
Next.
this,
No.
and I know exactly everything that Tim said is essentially the base of what I know. I know if a girl shows up in this movie, you know what's going to happen.
Next
what you're gonna
week,
see.
watch along. Heavy metal. Everybody tune in.
Hell
It's
yeah.
happening
Let's
on
do
the
it.
Schmodown
Honestly,
Network.
sounds like a lot of fun.
This is not a Ralph Bakshi movie, correct?
I
It
don't.
looks like it, but
It looks like it could be, but I don't think it is.
It was direct. It has like multiple directors. It has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Isn't it like an anthology thing? So it's like
Yeah,
each
it's like
one's
an
a different
anthology
director?
thing. Yeah.
isn't there one where like a boy turns into an adult?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And if he doesn't have
I'm
sex
not.
with
I'm
someone,
stopping
then-
there. I'm stopping there. I'm stopping there.
Yeah. Eugene Levy, Harold Ramis, John Candy.
Did I think it was a comedy? Maybe it is a comedy. Like it's.
I
some
think
sort
they
of, like,
made the
play
right
it off
choice.
Andy
like-
Kaufman prank.
You understood the assignment when you picked worst movie. I think you hit the nail. It's a 6.6 on IMDb. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's weird. All right. Jake, let's go to you.
Oh.
Yeah, we already went to
I was-
Payson. Jake.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, well, like I said, I haven't really watched a lot of movies,
Spider-Man.
and a lot of them have been good. Shut up, Cody.
Spider-Man's on
You
there.
hell yeah, that's a good show. I like that show. That's nice. I like that. But there is one movie that I did watch that I watched just because the new Kenobi show came out. Which, funny enough, I still haven't seen the first 2 episodes of. I'll get to
I
it
saw this
eventually.
on your letterbox. Get
Yeah.
over yourself.
I'm talking about Revenge of the Sith, guys. Yeah, I know people like to say it's the best of the prequels, and I do think that is an accurate statement. But that does not say that the quality of the movie is good. I do remember watching this back in 2005. I was on holidays in Melbourne, and we went and saw it. It was a choice between that and Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. And everyone who knows me knows I love Charlie and the Chocolate Factory much more than this, and I wish I saw that instead. But I digress. Revenge of the Sith is just really, really dumb. And I hate the dialogue. I think probably the most out of any aspect of the movie. Apparently Lucas got someone else to do like a proofread of the script doctor to finish the dialogue and all that, but it still sounds like discount Shakespeare. Like, it's because I'm so in love. No, it's because I'm so in love with you. It's just, I get you're trying to be beautiful. Like, this is supposed to be so like poetic, and it just doesn't
It was
work.
a third grader that proofread it.
Yeah, right. I think some of the action is great. Like, I love the opening. I think that whole opening, them going down, and then it's just focusing on the 2 starfighters going to Grievous's ship, and that whole sequence I think is really good. Some of the comedy in that is actually kind of funny with like R2-D2, but then once they land the ship on Coruscant, it really just goes down for me. Anakin is such a whiny asshole. They put me on the council, but they didn't make me a Jedi Master. This is bullshit. Like, and then he talks about how everyone should stand trial. Like, Windu's about to kill Palpatine. He's like, he should stand trial, and he's like, no, he's too dangerous to be alive. And then later on, he's okay killing younglings and the fucking the Newt Gunray and all those, the Separatists. He's fine killing them. They're okay not to stand trial because Palpy told me to, I guess. But yeah, and then everyone loves that ending Obi-Wan Anakin fight, which goes on for so fucking long and is just overly choreographed. Like, I will take Luke versus Darth Vader in Return of the Jedi any day over this, just because I love there's so much at stake between those two in that movie, and I also just love how there's one shot specifically when the camera pans and they're just being like lit by the lightsaber colors. I just think like just simplicity. Revenge of the Sith just goes way too bombastic. And it also just crams so much story, and it's like we got to try and get him to be Darth Vader in like 2 hours and 20 minutes, and I feel like they could have done a better job at that. Oh yeah, so Revenge of the Sith, not a good movie.
Payson.
Yeah, I do enjoy this movie. I do think it is the best of the prequels, mainly just because I don't think the bad parts in the prequels are as bad as this one. Granted, I have not seen it since I was maybe like 12. Like Jake said, the relationship between Anakin and Padme is very stupid. The turn that Anakin has from when he actually becomes Darth Vader is kind of dumb. I do enjoy the Order 66 scene. I do think that is still an emotional scene. I think the score really hits well. I do personally really like the Luke versus Obi-Wan Jedi lightsaber duel. It's not my favorite lightsaber duel, mainly because I do kind of see the they're back. See the
don't bring
yeah,
attention
sorry.
to it.
See the over choreographed thing. I think weirdly, Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan versus Darth Maul, I think is kind of like the sweet spot between like choreography and like still like not going overboard. But yeah, I will say I do enjoy this, but I get why people still do not like this one because it's not wonderful.
Yeah, I have a weird relationship with the prequels in that they're like that. I feel like everybody has that movie or that set of movies where what are you looking for? Right here. There you go. So everybody has those movies that they grew up watching that, like, I would venture to say Boatman would consider Chicken Little a movie that he really likes because of how much he watched it as a kid, and he probably doesn't think it's that great of a movie.
Oh, absolutely, that 1,000%.
That's how I feel about the prequels. Is
really like is honestly a little strong, but I get what you're going for.
Yeah, you get what I'm throwing out. I love the prequels. I hate the prequels. I love them because they are my childhood, and I saw them in the theater, and it was huge when I was growing up. So like, it was Star Wars for a long time. I will say that, like, and then as I got older, I liked them less and less, but I still will watch. Like, if after this Cody was like, Tim, you want to watch Attack of the Clones? I'd be like, sure, let's do it. And I would watch it. Like, I would. Like, I hate them, but I love them. And I know every word to all three of these movies. That being said, I agree. I think this is the best of the three. I think this movie has been enhanced because of other stuff like Clone Wars specifically. Like, I just finished watching Clone Wars and I really, really liked the series. And so that has kind of helped my perception of this movie, whether that's a good thing or not. I mean, just they do a really good job of showing Anakin slowly becoming into what he is in this movie, and when it feels very abrupt in the movie, I think the show helps kind of paint that picture a little bit better. So it's given me a lot of backstory that has helped me enjoy the movie more. I think the action is good. I like the opening space battle. I agree. People that say that the final fight, the lightsaber duel, is the best one, I just don't agree. I agree. I think it's way over choreographed. I think it starts good, but I agree. I think it goes on for a little bit too long. It just gets a little bit too ridiculous. As far as like lightsaber duels go, I'm much more into the emotional stakes of a lightsaber fight, and that I forget if it was Payson or if it was Jake that said it, but like the Obi-Wan Qui-Gon Maul fight, I think is the perfect mix of like choreography and the fight and the emotion. But I have strong nostalgia for the lightsaber fight. But if you actually look at it, it's very impressive because that is Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen doing a lot of the stunts and a lot of the choreography, and that's very impressive. But it doesn't feel real. It feels like two guys memorized a dance and are dancing
for 2 months and
it's impressive. But everybody, the thing that Jake posted in his review where they're literally just standing there spinning their lightsabers and they're not even hitting each other is it's the dumbest thing in pretty much any Star Wars lightsaber fight. It's really dumb. But again, I have the movie at a 3-star. Like, it's mid Star Wars for me. It's not ever going to be one of my favorites, but I don't think it's a piece of shit. I just also, I'm going to step on Cody a little bit here, but I love me some Sheev Palpatine. So to see him show up and be a badass is something that I love. Him fighting Yoda, I like that fight more than I like the fight with Anakin and Obi-Wan. So no, there's good shit in here. There's also some really bad shit. So Cody.
So I hate Star Wars. I hate it. And it's not because it's just the fans suck. This community sucks with it. There's just so much to go along with it. There's so many trivia questions that I will never even be able to sniff an answer from. But with that being said, there are parts of this movie that I think this one gets the better rap because of how much I really hate the first two of this prequel. Like, I hate the first two with a lot of passion. There are stuff that I absolutely love in this movie. I will still say I still think the end fight is the best fight. I have a lot of fun with it. I love the dialogue at the end, especially between Hayden and Obi-Wan. Like, I like that scene a lot. The stuff I hate, I think General Grievous is one of the stupidest characters in Star Wars history. I've never understood it. He is a robot. Like, pick him up and throw him in something. Like, I don't know why we're letting him swing lightsabers at us at any point. Like, he's not he's the robot with lightsabers. Like, at the end of the day, like, kill him, Obi-Wan. This is really stupid. But the one thing I do love, my favorite character in Star Wars, it's not Vader, it's Emperor Palpatine. Chief Palpatine is by far my favorite character. He's the only one the prequels do not destroy. He does an absolute great job from beginning to end with the character. I think it's rushed. I agree with Jake. Like, it's kind of hard but I'd rather have like another movie or something like him to set up like the reign of evil, because he does go from 0 to 110 really quick. Both of them do. But when those lightsabers come out and he goes, "I am the Senate," there's no better point in a movie for me. Like, I've watched that scene more times than I can go, because just how he does it and how he's like able to manipulate everybody. Absolutely great. But yeah, I agree. I counted today. I think they're like, overall, if I consider good or to great movies on Star Wars, there's like 4 in my book, maybe 5. But like, I don't have that many. I don't love it. And everybody tell me to go watch Obi-Wan. Maybe. I don't know. I'm so checked out of Star Wars, it's not really funny. Like, I just want to be
We should
done
watch
for a long time.
Mandalorian.
I watched 8 episodes. I haven't even seen when the one person returns at the very end of the one. I know that he's there, but like, I know that. But I don't know if I care to watch it.
Boatman.
Yeah, it's not good, but I will say there are good things about this one. I like the Darth Plagueis the Wise scene. I think that's actually a really good sequence. There are some other good things here, but it still has so many prequelisms, and I don't care enough about Star Wars in general, so that's part of the problem.
Would it be better if there was a diner scene?
Yeah, well, here's the thing. I think this is better than the movie with a diner scene, so at least that proves I'm objective, but at the same time...
But if it was Star Wars set in a diner, the whole movie set in a diner, how much would it go up?
Cody, have you looked at my reviews for any Star Wars movie?
No, but I just love every time that you tell somebody, like, they comment on something, you're like, go watch Diner. It's my favorite part.
Yes, you should go watch Diner. Diner is great.
It's a very mad movie, but I get it.
We're on to you.
It's a good movie.
Come on, Payson, bring it up.
Like I said, I'm going through best original screenplays. And I watched one of the weaker ones I think I've seen thus far. 1955's Interrupted Melody. The fact that this won best original screenplay, damn, there must not have been too many good original screenplays. All right, let me explain this movie. This movie is 2 halves. The first half is barely a film, and here's why. Not saying, like, oh, it's horrible, like, because, okay, maybe it's not, like, the worst thing, but let me explain to you why this is so boring. I'd say you might get, like, 2 minutes of dialogue, and then you just go into a 5-minute opera scene. Because this movie is about an aspiring opera singer. And this happens probably about 7 times in the first hour, where just, I love you, we can't be together, opera scene. Another scene. I love you. Oh, maybe we should be together. Another opera theme. It's boring as shit. The opera singer comes from Australia. I'm sorry, Jake, but like, it's not great. And the second half is really weird because she gets injured and she can't walk. And it's set a little in the future and they end up getting married. And there's a really strange scene where the guy's like, I want to prove to her that her injury is in her head. So he puts music on that she hates and says, leaves the room. She's handicapped, by the way, and says, turn it off yourself. And you see her struggling and yelling to try and turn the scene off. It's horrible. It's really bad. I did not enjoy it. And I was shocked to see someone in this call had seen this movie, and I really want to hear what they had to say. But yeah, Interrupted Melody, not a very good movie, and if I'm being honest, at the bottom of my screenplay rankings thus far, 14 movies in.
Haven't seen it. Don't think I ever will. Cody.
So I'm currently doing the same thing with Payson. I did Best Actor. Me and Boatman kind of do this as torture kind of to ourselves, to be honest with you, because the few and far between of how much I love this. Yeah, I've seen a total of 24 of these so far. Of rewatches. I'm watching all of them, including rewatches, and this is my 24. I had to rewind this film because after like 40 minutes, I said, "This is original screenplay, right? I don't think they've talked." And all this sound was the most brutal sound to my ears possible.
Oh, she's not a good singer.
She's not a good singer. I hate operatic music in general. Like, if you like put like polka and like this next to, I don't know which one I would shoot first. But it plays, and I'm just like, the first time ever, I was like, maybe Koho has a point. If I put this on 2 times, I can get this done.
Don't do it. Don't do it, Cody. Don't give in.
He's a better man.
Don't go to the dark side.
But I was like, what happened that year? I haven't looked up the nominees of this year, but like,
it's all movies you haven't heard of, I will say.
Okay, so that's probably why. But like the second half of this is very awkward and very uncomfortable. Like that scene where you like, turn off yourself. Like, what's the point?
He's
like,
claiming Grandpa Joe, which you shouldn't do. Like Grandpa Joe happens in one of, I don't know, but
yeah, it was just there was the dialogue that was spoken, not great, and the operatic music absolutely awful. Like they cast this person that should just not have done it. Also, I do want to say this random thing. I shout out Ryan Permison. Haven't seen him in a long time. Comes in the chat as when we talk about Star Wars. I absolutely
That's what I was thinking.
Love it. I absolutely love it. You are a scholar, sir. You are an absolute scholar. But yes, when I saw this on your letterbox, I said, please talk about this movie because I've been dying to ask somebody else. It's so bad.
It's not good.
Boatman.
Haven't seen it.
Can't wait.
I have not seen it. I might do a screenplay, like watch along and shit, but I don't know. I don't want to watch Interrupted Melody now.
Watch Father Goose.
All right. We are going to move on to the main part of the show. So we are talking about movies that we wish we saw in the theater. And Cody, you are going to kick us off. What is your first pick for the list?
Okay, so I'm going to get my obvious one out of its way. I've said this so many times. It is on brand. Don't shoot the messenger. I understand I'm going to get eye rolls and be like, oh my God, you could have picked anything. But I stand by it. This is what I took is the first time I'm seeing this movie. Not that I've already seen this movie. This is one that I would love. My very first viewing, I would love to have saw in the theaters. And I'm 1990. I'm doing Jurassic Park. I'm doing Jurassic Park because for
that doesn't mean eye roll.
Well, I know it's just such an obvious one overall. I could have picked something different, but Jurassic Park, I've seen it in the theaters. It still has that same magic that I love. But to be the first time to hear the score, to see the park open, to see, oh God, what's his name? I can't think of it. I know it's Sam Neill, but like Alan Grant take off the glasses and look at the first time on the big screen and have that score hit. I just feel like, and I was 2 years old when this happened. You know, so like there was even if I did see it, there's nothing up here that tells me I've seen it. It's just something that I just don't think can ever be match. I again, say what you want about the movie. I understand like some people don't absolutely love everything about the movie. Mike thinks it's perfect, but it's just that opening to see that like a blockbuster like that, absolute would be amazing.
Yeah, I do really enjoy the first Jurassic Park. I think it's just, an amazing blockbuster. And yeah, I've never seen it in the theater, and I think it's definitely one that a theatrical experience would absolutely, with no question, enhance.
Also, if I would have saw this in theater, I think it would be the hardest thing like my first viewing, I think it would be the hardest thing to move off like a top 10, top 20 of all time list for you, because to be that burned into your brain, I just don't think it moves at that point. Like,
I get why Mike Hanley has the opinion he does, because he was like, what, 6?
Yeah, little kid, yeah.
Like, yeah, no, I get that.
Jake?
Yeah, I mean, this is the first movie I saw this year. Actually, it was actually a fun time. We got to go to Nicole, remember that? Yeah. Yeah, but I will be rewatching the whole Jurassic World Park movies when Dominion comes out. But yeah, this is like a fantastic movie. This is one that one of the first like modern blockbusters that we still talk about today. Like it's been almost 30 years, and it still holds like so much cultural significance for everyone. And yeah, I would like to have seen this in the theater. I unfortunately was not. I did not exist in 1993, unfortunately. But yeah, this is definitely one that that cinema experience is, I feel, a reason why it was the highest grossing movie of all time. Like it was a huge deal at the time, and still is.
Payson.
Yeah, I mean, Jurassic Park is one of the greatest blockbuster films of all time. Like, if you think oh, it can't be that good, it still is that good. And yeah, like Cody said, the moment when you see the dinosaurs for the first time, seeing that for a first time in the theater, that would be just pure movie magic. Seeing the opening, when they're feeding the raptors, that would be incredible. Yeah, I have seen this one in theaters. It's a ton of fun, but yeah, seeing it for the first time would have been incredible.
Yeah, I have seen this in the theater as well. Obviously, it wasn't the first time I saw it, but I saw it when they did the 3D re-release in 2013, and then I saw it again later on with Maggie. We saw it in the theater during a Steven Spielberg series at the theater by us. We saw that in Jaws. So no, it's a great movie. We just rewatched it a couple weeks ago. We've been watching all of them as we get ready for the new one, and it's a blast. There's not much I can really complain about the movie. It is one of those movies that is so enhanced by seeing it in the theater. Even if you've seen this movie 100 times, watching it in the theater, it is new. It feels so different. And it's a great theater experience. So I every time this one is playing, I like to go and see it if I can. It's always fun. Same with Jaws. So, okay. That was everybody on Jurassic Park, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Boatman, what is your first pick?
I feel like a lot of classic movies are enhanced by the theatrical experience because TV or DVD or whatever at home wasn't even really in consideration when these films were being made. And I think one film that I still do love outside of the theater, but I would love to see in the theater, would be The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Oh, sorry, Jake.
I took mine, boy.
I think the epic scale of The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly on the big screen would be so amazing. Just because it's a super long movie, and I think longer movies work better in the theater, in my opinion, because there's nothing to distract you. There's nothing else. Like, you just kind of get to absorb the movie. And man, how great would that final shootout be in a theater? Like, oh man, like, and hearing that music like blast through the speakers, like, oh man, would be awesome.
Jake, you were gonna pick this. It sounds like what's your take?
This is my number one pick. God damn it. Yeah, this movie's fantastic. This is like when you talk about like what type of movies you want to see in the cinema that you haven't, like cinematography and sound is like the two aspects that I think I always try to think about when it comes to these type of movies and this topic. Like, the score to this movie is one of the greatest scores of all time. Like, Ennio Morricone is noted for his Good, the Bad, the Ugly theme. Like, we still celebrate it as one of the greatest scores of all time. The cinematography, the way that Sergio Leone is able to capture the extreme close-ups and also the extreme wide shots, especially during that whole last third act, is just incredible. It's so like fantastic, the juxtaposition that he's able to do. I just think it's just, it's for a movie that's 2 hours and 40 minutes, it has the pacing of a film that goes for 100 minutes. Like, he lets everything play out as it is, and he doesn't rush through anything, but you're just so invested by everything that goes on. For a movie that's about three people trying to find gold in a cemetery, like, it's really like investing to watch it. This was my number one pick, like, by a long shot. I was really hoping no one would pick this, but that means I have more choices, I guess. But no, this is the greatest choice ever. I love it.
I have not seen this, so I don't have much to say. Payson.
Yeah, this is probably like top 5, maybe top 3 blind spots, but that I have not seen. But yeah, I've heard nothing but great things. And from what Boat and Jake just said, it sounds like it would be an incredible theatrical experience.
Okay. Jake, do you have a backup pick?
Oh, I don't think Cody got to talk on.
Oh, sorry, Cody. My bad. Go ahead, Cody. My bad.
Yeah, I didn't think about this one. I really should have thought about this one. Like, I agree. I think it would have been absolutely incredible to see this in theaters, especially my first time viewing. I thought, like, man, this is a massive scope. Like, I can just, like, watching it. So to see it in theaters would definitely enhance it even more. So, good choice, Bo.
Okay, Jake, now we'll go to you. What is your pick?
Yeah, I'm just trying to think what my second choice is going to be. I think I'm going to go with, this is one, I'm going to go with this one. It's a Tarantino movie. I only started watching his films in the cinemas in 2013 when Django came out. In January 2013. And I unfortunately did not see Hateful Eight. I would like to have seen that, but of course I saw Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. But there's couple movies back that I wish I saw that I just never had the chance to, and it'd be a perfect double feature. But I'm only going to pick one just because I don't want to get chastised for my pick. But I'm going to pick Kill Bill Volume 1 as my choice. To be fair, actually, you know what? Scratch that. Kill Bill: The Whole Bloody Affair. I can fucking play it. Let's say that. I have not seen The Whole Bloody Affair. I would love to. That would be a fantastic experience. But I just love Kill Bill. I love Kill Bill Volume 1. I love Volume 2. I like Volume 1 a little bit more. But I think what's great about The Whole Bloody Affair is that I can watch the whole story in its entirety, in its however long, 300 minutes or however long it is. Sorry. Just the fact that he combines the samurai genre and the Western genre into one movie as a celebration of those genres, I just think is so great. And to tie it all together is this epic revenge story from the bride and her sort of goal of killing these 5 people. To see it on the screen with Tarantino's trademark use of like soundtrack and taking music from other media and other films to create this story, I think would be a fun experience to watch in the cinema, especially the Battle Without Honor or Humanity music that's Oren Ishii's kind of theme. The dun, 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 dun. I just think that would be so great to see in the cinema when she enters the Crazy 88 action sequence. I think that would just be like so much fun to watch. The action just would be amazing to see. Like the whole Crazy 88 fight scene, beautiful to watch in the cinema. I reckon that would just be so good. And then the showdown with Oren Ishii, and then going into the second one with the fight with Daryl Hannah, California Mountain Snake. I think that would be so good to see. Just great. That's what I love about, and it kind of ties in with Sergio Leone, is that the way he's able to combine cinematography and sound and kind of use them to really create the greatest cinematic experience is what we all love about movies, about the movies. And I think that's what I would love to see Kill Bill the whole bloody affair in the cinema. And also just the fact that I haven't seen it, and there's some aspects, there's small scenes that I haven't seen. So I think that'd be good.
Payson.
Yeah, like Jake, I have never seen Kill Bill the Whole Bloody Affair. I literally cannot see Kill Bill the Whole Bloody Affair. But yeah, I think this is an excellent choice. I've seen both Kill Bill movies. I also really prefer Volume 1, but I also think Volume 2 is great. And yeah, just seeing that Crazy 88 scene would be excellent. I think seeing like the opening of Kill Bill Volume 2, just like that conversation between the bride and Bill, I think would be great. And yeah, I think this is a really, really great and unique choice.
Yeah, I am. I wouldn't consider myself a huge Kill Bill fan. Like I really like Volume 1. I've only seen Volume 2 once. I've seen Volume 1 a few times, but Volume 2 I've only been able to watch it once. And so I really like Part 1. I remember liking Volume 2, but not as much. It might have just been when I watched it. I don't know, but I like Tarantino, and so I would watch any of his movies in the theater any day of the week. Like he makes movies for the cinema, 100%. Cody, I know you're a big fan of this. What do you think?
Yeah, so I've seen The Whole Bloody Affair, but I really wish the first time I would have viewed it was in the theater. It honestly made my appreciation for Kill Bill even more watching it together as one whole thing. Because I mean, I understand like it's not technically it's two separate movies, but they play so well together. And like, you know, the director also says it's one film, so I'm gonna count it as one film too. I just think it's absolutely incredible. It's still a little like I think it's like 4 or 5 on my overall Tarantino, but yeah, you'd get me in the theater to watch any Tarantino film, yeah, besides one. You'd have me, so yeah.
Boatman.
Yeah, I'm on record as saying I prefer Volume 2 because I haven't seen them in one sitting, and maybe in one sitting just right after the other could vastly improve both. All right, doesn't Whole Bloody Affair like change the order a little bit? Like, is there a difference between just watching them back to back?
There's a middle part, but yeah, no, not really. I mean, it's pretty much. It doesn't move like chronological anything. It just the stories come on. Yeah, you'll be fine.
Okay. All right. Well, then we will move on to Payson. Your first pick.
Yeah. I took this not just like a movie I wish I saw for the first time in theaters. I took it sort of like as like a time travel thing of like, which one could you have seen like when it opened?
Yeah.
And when I think that, I would love to go back to April 3rd of 1968 and sit in the theater and see how the general public and everyone around reacted to 2001: A Space Odyssey. Not only is 2001: A Space Odyssey, not only is it just an incredible movie on like its own right, like it's such a technical achievement and like a visual marvel. But like you hear the reactions of like there were critics walking out of screenings. No one knew, like no one could quite comprehend like what it was about. Like people were going insane, like trying to find the meaning of it. And I just think that would be fascinating to like hear and like see that discourse like live. And like, just like I said, just like seeing this in a theater, just that opening like 30 minutes with like the bone, with the gorilla with the bone, like one of the greatest edits of all time, as far as I'm concerned, is the bone flying up into the air and then just going right into space. Like maybe my favorite like cut ever. Of course, the final, like, 20, 30 minutes of this movie, just no dialogue. You're just seeing, like, everything the movie had built up, but you're literally just seeing it, like, all sort of, like, recapped in 30 minutes to when you get the space baby, which is sort of like Stanley Kubrick saying, like, look, we could end up being our own destruction, but there's a chance that we could also, like, live on. And, of course, just everything with Hal, just, like, as someone who has seen it in theaters, like, the sound and the mood of it, when you're there, you feel so, like, empty in a way. And I know that's hard to describe, but just, like, the dead noise of just space, I think, is incredible. And, yeah, if I could have seen this for the first time in theaters, I think that would have been incredible.
First time Maggie saw this was in theaters.
Oh, she's so lucky. It's so cool.
2001. She rolled her eyes. Yeah, we went and saw this in the theater when it was released in IMAX back in September of 2018. And it was amazing. There was an intermission, and they actually put the intermission in there and everything, and it was incredible. I love this movie. This is one of those ones where, like, I didn't think I was gonna like it, and I loved it. The 4K's been out for a while, but this is a movie, like, as much as I love it, I'm not, like, in the mood to watch it a lot. So I've been, like, waiting to buy that 4K, and then finally I was like, okay, I'm gonna buy this. So I bought a bunch of Kubrick 4Ks, and I'm gonna watch his movies again this year, and so it's on my to-do list. But I love the movie. I've only seen it like 3 times, so, and the third time was in the theater. So my most recent experience with it was in theaters. But yeah, it's fantastic. I agree with that. Like the discourse thing, that kind of goes into my pick a little bit too when we get there. So good on you, Payson. So I agree with that. Yeah, fantastic. Cody.
How people reacted that day. You can't sleep here. Oh, sorry. I can get up and walk. Boring. I'm sorry. I don't get it. I will not get it. Never. I'm so bored by this movie. Yeah. I think maybe in theaters it would add a lot. But for watching at home, God, I need a shot of adrenaline to keep myself up during this movie.
Caleb.
No, I actually think a theatrical experience would make me like this movie more.
So you don't like the movie?
No, I'm not. That's not what I said. I said like it more.
No, that's fair. You haven't. That's all you said. I didn't know. Like,
that's fair. I think this movie's. I don't love the first hour of this movie. It's not. I get it, but I think once we actually get to like the house stuff, the movie is great.
But do you like this movie?
Like 20 minutes of a floating pen, and I'm sorry, I don't care. Yeah, I don't care about the floating pen.
If we've learned something about Payson, movies that are set like in space that have no plot or no direction, he loves. Dune, this, I get it. I'm finding the correlation.
He's not like the only person who loves Dune in this community.
I know he's very adamant about it. I'm just finding things that he likes. I'm getting to know Payson.
There's also just I don't love the stuff with the monkeys at the beginning. It's like okay.
Yeah, I love that. I love the monkeys.
I love
this is just really pretentious.
This is just stuff that I just want to grab Tim and shake him.
Sorry.
Because he's like watches that movie, goes, just not for me. Just wouldn't work this movie. Oh, you hear a symphony play. Crazy.
Different people have different tastes. It's okay.
I know what he likes, and then he goes, I like this. What? Makes no sense. It's like Koho with the Green Knight. No one can explain that crap to me to this day. Why he is the biggest stand for the Green
Knight's great.
You can like the Green Knight. Koho physically can't like it. It makes no sense.
It's very weird.
Jake, 2001.
I actually did see this in the cinema. It wasn't my first viewing, but it was, I think, my third or fourth. They had the whole 50 anniversaries, so back in 2018, got to see it in the cinema. And it was just fantastic. I loved the experience of watching it in the cinema. Like, it felt like that's how Kubrick, had made the movie to be, like, in theaters, in cinemas. Like what Bert had said, like, VHS and DVD wasn't a thing. Like, TV wasn't a thing where you watched the movies on
Okay. All right, we'll move on to my first pick. So I like Payson am going to pick something for my first pick that's like I had the same type of idea of like if I were time traveling and if I were to go to the theater to see something when it came out, that like what the buzz was like, be a part of like that experience.
Moonraker.
Yeah, you got it, Moonraker. I love Roger Moore era Bond. Play the good head in this film.
It's greatest.
No, I am going with 1973's The Exorcist. This is probably my favorite horror movie. It's another one that I don't watch a lot because it actually genuinely terrifies me. I think it's holds up so well, and if you like look into like all the publicity that was gone into making the movie, and like the set was haunted and people were died like making the movie, and like it was a phenomenon. And I've heard stories of like I was talking about my grandpa earlier, but it was the same thing where like my mom, I remember when I watched it for the first time and she was telling me about how when it came out that my grandpa was like afraid to be in the dark for like a long time after seeing The Exorcist in the theater because it was just terrifying and everybody was so just freaked out all the time. I've never seen it in the theater. I really want to. It's been reissued a couple times, so I think I'll get there eventually. We're coming up on another anniversary, so maybe next year it'll play. But I'm a big fan of the movie. I love I think that, like I said, the scares are actually really terrifying and really good. I think the performances are excellent. I just think it's a top-notch horror movie that I think it gets the credit it deserves, but I also don't hear people talking about it too much. I think and this isn't a shot at anybody, it's just one of those movies where like horror, especially if it's like made before 1990, I don't know if it hits everybody in this community as much as it would like somebody like Boatman or Payson or Jake or honestly Cody. Like you guys watch a lot of movies that are older, so makes sense. But also there are horror movies coming out in the last 20 years. That's like the big talk of the town for a lot of people around here. So I think the people that have seen it generally like it or acknowledge that it's at least very well made, but I just don't hear a lot of people talk about it all that much, which I find is strange. And I think it probably has something to do with its age. I know Maggie doesn't love it because she doesn't think it's scary. She's like, it looks fake. Like I don't know. Like I think it's fucking great. I think it holds up really well. So yeah, The Exorcist. Yeah. Cody, your take on this one.
So this is one that I remember seeing like maybe 8 years old. But I don't remember any of it at all. I think I snuck and watched it, but my dad said it was like the scariest film he's ever seen, and I don't remember being scared of it. I didn't watch it, but I owe this thing a watch. I haven't watched it. It would be a professional because the only thing I know is all the stuff. I think at the end of the film, like when she becomes like, I think that's the misleading of this movie. Like how much of what people know of this film is how much is near the end of it. Like there's so much before it. But yeah, I definitely understand why to see it in theaters, and especially to see how like people would react to it in theaters would probably be, because there are people like my dad. This is absolutely one of the most terrifying movies I've ever seen. But now you ask anybody nowadays, they're like, nah. Doesn't do anything for me, which was kind of crazy.
Kaleb.
Yeah, no, I love The Exorcist. I think that this is a fantastic horror movie. There's a scene in this movie that is just disturbing and terrifying. And what?
Crucifix.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's the
I don't like this. This is a movie that I'm honestly kind of shocked that I like as much as I do, because it's like it is genuinely, to me, it's still genuinely scary. I've only seen it one time, but it was like genuinely scary and like had me on edge while still being incredibly well made. I think this one's great. Yeah.
Jake.
Yes, this was like a blind spot for me for like the longest time until a couple of years ago where I decided to watch it for Halloween, and it's fantastic. I think Friedkin is such an interesting filmmaker because he came from a documentary background, so he kind of understands how to make something like The Exorcist feel real, the way he uses the camera and just the idea that just something could happen at any time and you just don't know what it could be. I would love to see just the audience reactions to this in 1973 and just see how everyone was reacting to it, because, you know, we're a few generations apart from the people who saw The Exorcist. We all view horror differently than they did. Like, we've seen pretty much everything when it comes to the horror at this point. We don't get scared and shiver like from what's going on in The Exorcist. Even there are some crazy shit that happens in the movie, like when she turns her head and you know what she did, your hunting daughter, like terrifying. And I think that's the greatest thing about the movie is the horror aspect is being a mother and seeing something very, very wrong happen to your daughter that you have no idea how to explain. Like, I love the stuff where when she takes Reagan to the hospital and just like the MRI tests and just what is going on, and they don't know. Like, that is what's scary about it, is that nobody knows. Scientifically, you don't know what's wrong with her, and it becomes the whole religious, she's possessed by a demon. Like, that sort of stuff is when it really becomes terrifying. Yeah, I would love to have seen this in the cinema. I mean, especially back in 73, just the audience reaction. I think it's a fantastic, one of the greatest horror movies ever, and I really want to rewatch it, and I probably will come this October.
Payson.
Yeah, seeing how there are people that saw this back when it came out and are still scarred by it proves as to why this is a good choice. Like, experiencing that and like taking on that burden as well would be like really, really cool. I've seen this movie once and I really liked it, but it's one that I think I probably do owe a rewatch to. And yeah, if I ever got the opportunity to see this in a theater, I would probably jump at it, because I do think the scares are still very, very effective. Like people say, maybe the most thrilling final 5 minutes to any movie ever. Like, it's up in the conversation, especially in terms of horror. But yeah, like this is a great choice.
Okay, I believe we are back to Cody. Cody, your next pick.
So now that everybody's time traveling, there's a moment that I regret in my life, and it's very recent. It's 2019. I didn't get to see this film in the theaters, and the one person that I wish that I would have been able to see this movie with, I should have made the drive. I should have went to Wisconsin.
Oh.
I should have seen The Irishman in theaters with Tim Brzakala. It was the one. This movie has climbed so high on my rankings. It's in my top 10 of all time. I absolutely adore this film and everything about it. The only thing that would have made this film better is to watch it with Tim and talk about it after it with Tim. I can't speak any more about this movie. I think it plays okay on the TV, but I would have just loved like the just to see those characters on a big screen in the surround sound. Yeah, it's not like I could have picked like the movies that I would love to go see back. Like, I get it, but like this movie has potential in the next like 10 years to be in the top 5. I think it's brilliant filmmaking. I think it's a brilliant script. I think it's just overall one of my favorite movies. And I have to actually tell myself all the time to not watch it. which is 3 hours and 29 minutes. But I'm like, I need to watch this. I could watch The Irishman now. But yeah, it would be that choice. Go back in time. Go watch it in November, like 20, 27, 28, 29, whatever Tim saw it. And then, because he's like, if you're not, we could do it. And I'm like, yeah, no, I should have done whatever I could to get there. So, yeah.
Yeah, it was. I'm gonna look. I'm gonna find out right now what day it was. But yeah, I love this movie. I did see this in the theater the first time I saw it. Maggie and I went with Tyler Butler. Actually, it was the three of us went and saw it, and we saw it at like, I want to say it started at like 7:15. So it didn't get done till like 11 o'clock when all the previews and everything are said and done. Maybe a little bit after. It was great. And you know, and I use Maggie as an example all the time, but like, you know, something is getting her sucked in when it's a 3.5 hour movie and she looks at you 2 hours in and goes, I've held it as long as I can. I gotta go. And she runs out of the auditorium and then runs back in 45 seconds later and is good for the rest of the movie. Like it, I agree with Cody. I don't have a top 100. Like I've never sat down to make a top 100. I don't know that I could do that if I'm being completely honest. Like it's hard for me to even, I know what my favorite movie is, but even my 2, 3, 4, like on Letterboxd change all the time. Like I just don't know. I would say I could confidently say this would be probably in my top 25, but I don't know where it would go. But I agree with Cody. I think the movie is fantastic. It's a 3.5 hour movie that seriously feels like 2 hours. I think it is paced so well. Pacino, I've said it 1,000 times, and Cody and I have talked about it, but the fact that this is the first time Pacino worked with Scorsese is nuts, because it feels like they have been working together forever. There's just like something there that like it feels so natural for him to be in this world. And honestly, he's probably I think De Niro is my favorite performance in the movie. But when Pacino comes in, it's like an hour into the movie, and I actually genuinely love the first hour probably the most. Like the rise of De Niro.
Do it.
What?
Do the quote.
Oh, the fuck is this? Yeah, no, it's so good. That's and that's like 10 minutes into the movie, but it's the fuck is this? It's so good. But nobody gets what I'm talking about.
I know, but I do, and it's fantastic.
But I love the whole beginning of like the relationship between De Niro and Pesci, like how that grows, and you get a little bit of Harvey Keitel in there, to the point that when Hoffa actually comes into play, I get a little sad where I'm like, oh, I like this first part more, but then Pacino is just so fucking good in the movie. Like, it's stupid. Like, every performance here is really, really great. And I just think it's such a surprisingly funny movie, but just like also it really knows how to pull at your heartstrings too in the right moments. And towards the end, I mean, there's maybe like 45 minutes left in the movie when it happens, but not to get into too many spoilers because it is still a fairly new movie. But when they're at the event, they're giving De Niro an award, and Hoffa is there to present the award to him. And there's a few conversations between Pesci and De Niro, and then De Niro and Pacino, and it's just like the back and forth between these characters in this scene it's like one of the most heart-wrenching scenes. And the end is just like it genuinely gets me, even though you literally are told what's going to happen in the first 2 minutes. The way the movie ends, you literally see it happen in the first 2 minutes, but it goes by like that. If you don't look for it, you're going to miss it. So it's amazing. I love the movie. I've talked way too long about this at this moment, but
who got him? Cancer.
Big fan. Big fan. Boatman, your take on the film?
You late. You know? No. 10 minutes accounts for traffic. This is 15. You're late. You're saying something. Like, that's, oh man. That scene alone justifies this being on the list. It is what it is.
Jake?
Yeah, I saw this actually in the theater. There was a small cinema that was doing like Netflix movies. They did this and Marriage Story and the Two Popes. I saw Marriage Story and this, and I was very glad that I picked the morning time for this. I think it was like 8:39, and I got out and it was like 1 in the afternoon. I was like, all right, I made a smart choice. I didn't have to go to the bathroom at all during the 3-hour and 30-minute runtime. Like, I was pretty impressed by myself, actually. I thought it was pretty good. Yeah, this movie's great. I haven't seen it since I saw it for the first time. But I don't know. I feel like I'd have to watch it in episodes. I know that the whole stupid thing that Netflix will like, this is what you could watch it in. But I think if I watch the first half and then the next day watch the second half or something like that, take a break, an interlude or whatnot, I think that's fair. Yeah, this is just like Scorsese has made so many gangster crime movies. He takes a nice little break and then comes back and makes like his gigantic epic tale of Jimmy Hoffa and that all sort of that kind of that time period, while also just being about morality and just being time is the essence of us all and the enemy of us all. And I just think that's really, really good. Not to cut everyone off, but I do need to head out. I should have mentioned earlier that I had something on.
Do you want to give us your second pick real quick before you go?
My second pick was going to be Gaspar Noé's Enter the Void from 2009. I just think that's very similar to 2001 in the sense of this auditory, visual sort of experience, and just the fact that the movie is about a trippy, about a guy who takes drugs and then has like this incredible like after-death experience, I think is really interesting. I mean,
what's it called, Jake? Sorry.
Enter the Void.
Into the Void. What year?
Enter. 2009.
Oh, Enter the Void. Sorry.
Enter the Void. And my rating for In Bruges would be 4 stars.
Okay,
it's
awesome.
closer to 4.5 stars. Sorry, I gotta leave, but this is
you're good, Jake.
And I'll be on next time when
Yeah. All right. See you, Jake. Payson, you want to talk about The Irishman?
Yeah. I remember when this movie was coming out, and I didn't think it was going to be playing in Arizona, and me and Taylor were prepared to make the 4.5-hour trip to California just so we could watch it in theaters. Thankfully, it did come to a really small, like, indie theater over here that's no longer with us. Rest in peace, Film Bar. You were awesome. I dressed up in a suit because it was a fancy movie. And, yeah, this movie is incredible. The way how Scorsese this late in his career is tackling a movie about getting older and, like, aging and, like, feeling like the world passed by you, I think is incredible. It saddens me that not enough people were able to see this in theaters. Netflix, I really wish you would put your theaters more wide and stop being so sucky about, like, theatrical windows, please, for all of us. But yeah, I think this is a very, very good choice.
Okay. Boatman, let's go to you. You're muted.
Did not realize I was muted. Anyway, my next pick, I'm going to go with, I feel like one genre that, generally speaking, you don't need to have them be in theaters is comedy. I'm going to go with the comedy that I genuinely feel like would be enhanced by a theatrical experience, and that's The Blues Brothers. I think The Blues Brothers is a comedy on an incredibly epic scale. Like, those car chase sequences, while funny, are, in my opinion, still impressive to this day. The big musical numbers are a lot of fun. And I also do feel like seeing a lot of these jokes in a crowd would be a lot of fun with, like, a crowded theater laughing along. Yeah, I love The Blues Brothers, and I feel like a theatrical experience would be awesome.
I've seen this once a long time ago. I remember liking it, but I don't remember much about it, if I'm being completely honest. I don't think I've seen the sequel, which I hear is bad.
Yeah.
But I remember liking this when I saw it. Cody, what about you?
Every time Boatman brings up The Blues Brothers, it's such a weird thing because, like, Not saying he can enjoy it. It's just like my uncle's favorite movie. So like it's kind of weird when he brings it up. I kind of agree. I like the Blues Brothers. It's humor that just really works for me. But I think like the musical numbers, I think being in the crowd, I think they get a lot of humor across. I'm not crazy. This is the Illinois Nazis, right? Like this is like you know what I hate is Illinois Nazis. It's like those parts would just play really funny in the theater, I think, with a group of people. Because if you picture these movies like packed houses, like comedy is like, unless jokes don't land in movies and there's that one guy in the corner that laughs hysterically and you're just like, what the fuck is wrong with this guy? But if the whole crowd is getting it, that's just something that can carry a movie from here to like here. So I'm kind of with you. I think Blues Brothers is an interesting choice, but I think you're right. I think it would be a hit.
Payson?
Yeah, I've never seen Blues Brothers, but the way everyone talks about it makes me really want to see it. And I honestly do like seeing comedies in theaters just because, at the very least, good comedies in theaters, there are a few things worse than bad comedies in theaters. But like a good comedy, like when everyone is laughing and getting into the same thing, it's awesome, and this seems like a really good one.
Okay, Payson, what is your next pick?
Yeah, sort of in the same vein of I want to time travel to a time where where I could laugh at a movie with a bunch of people. I want to go back to June of 2003. And I want to go to this one theater. I looked it up, but I forgot. And it played in this one theater for 2 weeks. And I wish I could have seen the vision of one man by the name of Tommy Wiseau. And I wish I could have seen The Room for the first time in theaters. Can you imagine? Because when I saw The Room, I already had the context that everyone knew of people saying like, oh, this is one of the worst movies of all time. But could you imagine just thinking you're going to go see a regular old movie and seeing that, the 5-minute opening of just the horrible score playing over the view of San Francisco as you see like depressed Fabio walk in, as in Tommy Wiseau, and give some of the worst acting you will ever see, and watch everyone around him talk like him. Like that is the great thing about The Room, is everyone talks like Tommy Wiseau does, because he doesn't write characters, he writes himself into every single character. There are, of course, legendary scenes like I did not hit her, it's not true, the cheap scene, the death scene of Johnny is incredible. I've seen this in theaters. It is perfect for like a late night showing as everyone gets into it. But seeing it for the first time in a theatrical experience when it first came out would be incredible.
I'm gonna have to disagree with you on this one, Payson. I think that I would have wanted to jump off the theater's roof if I had seen this in person, and not a good way. I think part of the fun and the charm is like, if you were to find someone that saw this thinking they were just going to see a regular movie, they probably still hate the movie. They don't have the fun and charm of it. I don't think it works quite as well as your previous analogy of 2001. But I respect the choice. I've only seen it once. It was not in the theater. It was at home. Right before Disaster Artist came out, I watched this. It lives up to the hype. Cody.
This is something that I just hate. Film communities. This man makes money, I think, still on this shit. Like, this should never have saw the light of day. This should never have been anything more. I'm not a fan at all. I've seen like bits and pieces of it. But to sit there and watch the whole thing, like I've said this before, I've said this to Koho. If I logged every movie I started, I'd have a ton of watches. Like I would. But I stopped so many movies that I'm just like, I have too much time. This is not worth my time. So like the moment I would have saw this, oh my God. But this is also me as a film fan. I think Monty Python and Holy Grail is not a good movie. I think Airplane's not a good movie. So to see Room, yeah, no. Not a chance. Not a chance in hell. Let's be real. Jump off the roof. I would like to be put into that wood chipper in Fargo.
Okay, Boatman.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like the only way to watch The Room is with a crowd, with like when you can laugh with your friends, right? When you can like make fun of it.
Oh yeah, this
or,
is the
like,
first viewing of it.
Yeah, and like if we're talking, this is like no one's gonna be like outwardly laughing in the theater. People are gonna just be awkward, and you're not even gonna be able to see that really.
How many people are actually there? Not a ton.
That's also a good question.
That's fair.
So I don't know if you said like, oh, just like a regular like midnight screening of The Room that happens now. Sure, that might be fun. I'd go to that. But like just random audience, I don't think people are going to be like screaming in this theater. So no.
I mainly just want to do it for the curiosity. Like I'm just so curious to see like what people thought. But I get you as well.
Sorry, I got a work text. Okay, so that was everybody in the room, right?
Yep.
Okay. Okay, so then I'm gonna go for my last pick. Thought about this a lot. Movies you wish you saw in the theater.
Return of the King.
I saw that in the theater. You know what I wish I saw in the theater? It was a cold Christmas night. Tim just got off of work. He went home and Maggie said, "Oh, honey, do you want to watch the new Pixar film?" And I said, "Yeah, in a theater, not on fucking Disney Plus. I don't want to watch Soul on Disney Plus. I wish I had saw it in the theater. This fucking counts. I say this counts 100%. And if it doesn't, I'm sorry for
no. This absolutely counts.
And when looking at the Pixar films that have been on Disney Plus that were supposed to be released in theaters, the last three,
they have to sell an app.
It's not about that, and I'm not getting into that here. I'm just saying that between Turning Red, Luca, and Soul's by far the best in my opinion. I love this movie. It was the first movie of the month for a whole week, and we talked about it on the first episode of this show. And I gave a lot of in-depth then, but I think I've always loved seeing Pixar in the theater because they're just so beautiful, whether you like the movie or not. Like Luca and Turning Red are both movies that I think are kind of meh, but they're gorgeous. They're really pretty to look at. And even the older ones that have been re-released, like when they did the 3D for Finding Nemo and Monsters Inc. and
Toy Story.
No, they did another one that was 3D in the theater. It wasn't.
They did Toy Story.
Did they?
Yeah, they did Toy Story 3D. I remember that.
There was another one that I can't. It wasn't Bug's Life. What would it have been? It wasn't Incredibles. I'll think of it eventually. But it was around that same time of that, like 2011, 2012, when like they did Finding Nemo and Monsters Inc. But seeing those again on the big screen was just absolutely amazing. So it's I just wish I had gotten to see this one for the first time in the theater, because I do think it is one of the most beautiful Pixar films. It's absolutely gorgeous. I think it's a great movie all in all. And I know that it would have hit even more emotionally had I been in a theater laughing and crying along with everybody else in the theater and not just on my couch at home. So I think it's a great movie. I understand why it was released on Disney Plus at the time, this one, but it is what it is. Cody, your take on Soul.
So I like, I understand Tim's why he picks it here. Just for the anger that made that man faced when he saw it. I've been doing a bit with Tim for a while now. I still stand by it. Do I mean it? No, not really, but it's a lot of fun to say. I thought it was a nice gift that Disney gave us during pandemic times, because it was a pretty crappy year overall, and they threw it at the end of it during Christmas. It was better than the gifts that Warner Brothers gave us. I guarantee you that for Christmas. That was like, fuck ass. But yeah, I think there is something about a Pixar movie in theaters that just hits harder. And I tell my kids all the time, like, because I just want to make sure they know how great to be grateful for things. And every time we click on the Disney Plus app, I'm like, listen, little shits, this was never a thing when I was a kid, so you're gonna enjoy it. We had to pop in VHSs and rewind them. This is just yeah. So good. So yes, great choice, Tim. For your sanity back then, I would have done anything for you to be able to see this in the theater.
That's fair. Payson.
Yeah, I think Soul is great, and like you, I would have loved to have seen it in a theater. I want to tackle what you just said about the animation. This was on Framed a few days ago, and it took me 3 guesses to realize, oh shit, I'm looking at an animated movie before I finally realized it was Soul, which should tell you how good the animation is. It feels crazy that we haven't seen a Pixar movie in theaters in about coming up on 2.5 years.
Yep.
And so it's going to make Lightyear really exciting, but
3 more weeks.
3 more
weeks.
What if they move it to Disney Plus?
Well, no, because that is the thing we do have to think is that maybe this was the Pixar animator's choice to choose it. Maybe they wanted to have... Okay, I'll stop.
It's not. No. Fuck you. Boatman, Soul, yay or nay?
I love Soul. One element that we haven't touched on that I think improves every Pixar movie and why Pixar movies are one of the best theatrical experiences in general, the shorts.
Yes.
Probably would have been Burrow before this. And I think the double of Burrow just before this, and then because I really like Burrow. I love Burrow more than most people. I thought that short was great. It's Anxiety Bunny just trying to relax, and I enjoy that. Yeah, Soul rocks. Soul's a great film, and I really love it. And I wish I could have seen it in the theater. I wish I could have seen Luca in the theater. I wish I could have seen Turning Red in the theater.
Same. Okay. That's everybody on Soul, correct? Okay, great. So we are going to move on to our movie of the month. That was the whole list. We got that done. So head over to the letterbox, click like on that list. All the movies we talked about today will be listed on the letterbox. So go over there. Let's talk about In Bruges one last time. I think Cody's the only one who hasn't spoken about it. So we heard from Jake. He would give it 5 stars. Cody, what about you? What do you think about the movie?
Jake said 4 stars.
That's what did I say 5? I meant
yes.
4. I meant 4. That's my bad.
Oh, I'm not gonna. This is not gonna be a fun time for Pom. I just don't love this movie. I just don't. I don't know what it is about it either, because I think it's, it's probably somebody that I've mentioned before on this call that hypes things up a little too high. I think that's when I went into watching it. I thought this is right up my alley. Everything will work perfectly. I just didn't love it. I think there's parts of the movie I really like. I think it's funny when it's supposed to be funny, but I just don't love the characters or dive into it too much. I think there's great. I think Colin Farrell and them are fine throughout it. It just doesn't click on all cylinders for me as some people, and I really wish it did. That's why when you guys picked it, I was hopefully when a rewatch happens, it does. My rating's 3.5 stars. I don't think it gets any higher than that for me. It's not a bad movie. I understand why people like it. I like 7 Psychopaths better than this, which I guess is weird. But I enjoyed the characters.
I used to have that take, so I don't even disagree. I used to have that take.
I like the characters better, I think, in that one. I think I gravitate towards them more. Even the story is a little sillier in that one. But, yeah. What's his other film that he's done?
3 Billboards.
3 Billboards?
Yeah, and I probably put 3 Billboards probably higher. I don't know. Higher than that? I don't know.
Oh,
it's tough.
Wow, I thought you were about to crap on 3 Billboards.
No, I don't think Rockwell deserves his Oscar, but overall, I think
I'm sad again.
I think Frances McDormand and Woody Harrelson in that movie are great. But yeah, 3.5 stars for me.
Okay. So that's going to do it for today. We got a couple of exciting things to share, though. So that's it for In Bruges. Next month or next week is going to be the start of June for us here at Logged It. So the movie of the month. It's official as of right now, this moment. I just double-checked the poll. It's winning by 2 votes. It's going to be 1997's Contact. Be the movie for June. So that is going to be what we're talking about in June. So if you want to be on the show or you just want to join the discussion in the chat, I implore you to watch the film. Then here's what's coming up. We got 3rd movies in a series. So it's got to be in a series. And it's got to be, like the 3rd one. I believe I'm pulling up the list of people right now. We have 1 spot still open for that one next week. So if you're interested in that one, jump on board. On June 14th, we have space movies. That's a full panel already. So that one is already said and done.
Hopefully it's better than YLS of space movies.
That's fair. Then we're going on June 21st. We're going to do biopics, any type of biopic. That one, I believe we still have 2 open spots. Let me confirm that. No, we have 1 open spot. 1 open spot left for that one as well. And then the last week of the month is going to be movie spinoffs. So these are your Minions, your Puss in Boots, your I had another Hobbs and Shaw, like anything like that, where it's a spinoff of the original series of stuff. So for that one, I believe. I don't know why I'm not looking at the screen, so I can't.
Oh no! I didn't mean to do that. I went to block I was trying to block the other people, and Twohig's
Oh, that's funny. Oh no. Okay, well, Twohig, if you're watching, well, you're not because you've been blocked. Whoops. We'll fix that. Anyway, there's open spots for that last one. So, yikes. That's gonna do it for us today. And see you next week with whatever I said it was. 3rd film series. Yeah, that's next week. We'll see you later. Bye.
In case I don't see you. Good afternoon, good evening, good